going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's going to be biblical.
Hey everyone, welcome to Patriots Across the Pond. I'm here today with my partner in crime, Stu from Stu's News. How you doing today, Stu?
A little bit under the weather, I think, but our temperature's dropped to 10 degrees, so I just think it's that really. A few beers today, but yeah, I'm fine. All good.
Good. We had that last week. We had the drop in temperature here on the East Coast of the United States last week. Well, anyway, we welcome everyone today. Today we have a wonderful guest. We have independent rep with Impact Health, Thomas Barr. And he is going to literally blow your mind with some of the information he's going to talk about today regarding one of the biggest pain point areas for many in the United States and Canada, and that is healthcare coverage. Welcome, Thomas.
Welcome. Thank you so much for welcoming me. And I loved your video intro. And, I'm sitting here, it's cold here. It's snowing. I'm in Pennsylvania. So I'm actually cold today. You see the jacket on. So, I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. Your intro was awesome. It got me fired up.
Good. Yeah, it does us every time.
Yeah, we love it. So let's see. We've got an interesting group here today because we've got Stu, who is in the UK, and those folks over in the UK have universal health care, right? So this is something that they get for free. They don't have to worry about submitting bills and paying co-pays and all this stuff. I think the only thing they have to pay out of pocket are their prescriptions, which from what we discussed off camera, it's kind of capped anyway. So you're not talking like about an onerous amount. But in the United States and Canada, including Puerto Rico, we've got a real problem, right, Tom?
Absolutely. In fact, it's here in the United States, it's the number one reason for bankruptcy, right, is medical bills. And, Stu, I have to just jump in on something real quick. I have, a bunch of team members and reps in Canada, and they have universal health care up there too. You know what they tell me? We pay for it. We pay for it otherwhere. So I think it's like the big F word. It's nothing's free in life, right? You're paying for it somewhere. So here in the States, it is the biggest pain point for Americans. It's not only the biggest pain point for individuals, but especially businesses, right? I mean, it's epidemic actually. And so our healthcare system has been very broken forever. It's the biggest industry out there. If you think about it, what are the biggest buildings in the United States? They're insurance companies, right? Biggest stadiums. So, and think about this is, they literally have skyscrapers filled with thousands of people to deny legitimate claims, right? So that in my opinion is wrong. And it's about time for us to do something about it, right? You can sit and talk about it, or you can actually put your money where your mouth is. And so Impact Health Share is different. We're disrupting a very broken, corrupt, greedy, unaffordable healthcare system in many, many ways. And so, Impact Health Share, we're not insurance, right? We're literally, and that's a good thing. That is a good thing because we're a nonprofit Christian-based company. Now, the unique component about Impact is, even though we're a Christian-based company, we actually allow all races, all religions to come in to our program, but we only share into Christian values. So we won't do the abortions. We won't do the transgender stuff. So I don't know if you guys realize this, but if you're a Christian, which it doesn't matter to me what religion you are, but, I'm a Christian. And if, I don't want to share into transgender or abortion stuff, think about it. If you're with let's use one of the big companies, Blue Cross, for example, they promote that. And if you're a Christian, you're actually paying into that, right? So it's time to have a Bud Light moment with everything that we purchase, because that's where, you heard them, is their pocketbooks. That's the only way to shut this stuff down. And so what I love about Impact is it's the Patriot. We're patriots. We're freedom fighters, and we're here to disrupt that broken, corrupt, greedy, unaffordable healthcare system. So Impact's major medical, right? It is very comprehensive, from a splitter to a heart transplant, everything in between. They actually gave us, that's what I love about this. We're one of the fastest growing healthcare companies right now in the United States. We're doing it different. Now, have you ever heard of the Affordable Care Act, right? You know why they tell you that? The more you can afford, the more you pay. So the first question that insurance companies ask you, for profit, by the way, they ask you how much money you make, right? And that's what they base your care on, right? And, I was never an expert in any of this stuff until I sat in a waiting room one day, and I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm paying $1,100 a month for me because I made good money, right? And in the gas and oil industry at the time. And then I was talking to a guy over here, he's not far from homeless, and he gets his care for free, and we're seeing the same doctor, right? So it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out that I'm paying for this, right? We're paying for this. So I don't think that's fair. And so when I started looking at Impact, they don't go by your income. They go by the age of the oldest household member. You only pay for 3 family members. After that, it's free. So can you imagine, having a family today of more than, let's say more than 3 kids? How many people today don't? Like, hardly anyone has big families anymore.
Right.
My mom and dad both grew up, they had 13 siblings, each of them. They had 13 brothers and sisters, both of them. That doesn't happen today, right? Unless you're Amish or something like that. And I have Amish people in our group, and they love Impact because they only pay for 3 family members. So after 3, it's free. So you can, we're encouraging that. Impact, again, it affects everyone. And if you're not familiar with sharing, which I'm going to jump back in and kind of give you the difference between insurance and sharing, but Stu has a video that's queued up that I think will shed a little light on the what is the difference between health insurance and health sharing. And I think that'll give you a little clarity. And then after the video, if it's okay, I'll come back in and just, pick up where they put down.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, this is about 5 minutes long. I've put it on 1.25 speed. That should be fine, just to do it a little bit quicker. But if it's too fast, I'll slow it down. Okay.
Hi, I'm Phil Chrysler, President and CEO of Impact Health Sharing. Healthcare sharing began in churches. You were asked to contribute to help Bob and Sue with their ailment. People passed the hat, and you contributed what you could to help your fellow member in need. Then, fast forward, you saw great things occurring in the Amish and Mennonite communities doing exactly the same thing. Then it got a little more formalized in the 80s with some religious-based organizations, and then the Affordable Care Act came along. That's really what propelled healthcare sharing to its modern-day growth. You remember, the individual mandate penalized you with a tax if you didn't have health insurance. But if you were a member of certain healthcare sharing organizations, you didn't have to pay that. Now we know the individual mandate has, of course, been reduced to 0. But in the meantime, healthcare sharing grew over 1,000% in the last decade alone. Why? Because it's an alternative to the high cost of insurance. Typically, you'll pay 30 to 50% less. Some reasons why? We're not for profit. So we have no profit motives that typically cause conflict between members, providers, shareholders, and the executive team. None of that exists with healthcare sharing, and certainly with Impact. You can stop overpaying, my friends. Here's an important statistic to understand why. Department of Health and Human Services says about 5% of the population account for nearly half of the healthcare spending that occurs in this country. Majority are healthy. They're overpaying, though, for the non-healthy. Insurance has become really no longer affordable. 80% of U.S. adults rate lowering their healthcare costs as their top concern. So why Impact? Well, we're rooted in the love thy neighbor approach, which allows us to welcome all races, all religions, all colors, all creeds. We were the very first healthcare sharing entity to launch this patented technology platform that really provides 100% transparency. This had never been done before in healthcare sharing, certainly not in health insurance. We have member-owned accounts. That way the money stays in your account. We have no network. You get to see any doctor you want. Again, providing full transparency on how all the money moves is something we're really, really proud of. And of course, you have no open enrollment restrictions. Membership begins the first of every month. You just got to finish that application by the last day of the previous month. We also have great pricing and programs for individuals, for families, for seniors, and for groups. And remember, friends, it's a comprehensive program for your health. So we have preventative services, maternity, accident, illness, and of course, injuries. You have access to telemedicine and an industry-leading prescription drug pricing program. Here is a quick video that highlights the opportunity for all of us to be a disruptor in the industry. Enjoy.
Healthcare spending made up 5% of total U.S. GDP in 1960. In 2020, spending hit almost 20%.
National polls show Americans believe healthcare prices and drug costs are among their top pocketbook concerns.
Over the past 20 years, the runaway cost of health insurance has outpaced earnings and inflation, leaving our families with less freedom and less money. Families, small businesses, and individuals alike are struggling to find a way to pay for the healthcare they can't seem to afford. So how are we going to solve this problem? All over the world, technology is changing the way people and society connect and interact. The result? Countless industries are disrupted. But while the rest of the world has changed, insurance and the way we pay for healthcare remains broken and largely the same. What if there was a way we could all pay for healthcare that simply worked better and felt better than insurance? Well, today there is. We are Impact Health Sharing. We are a network of families, individuals, business owners, and small entrepreneurs who want to see the old way of doing things changed. We use technology to connect tens of thousands of individuals and families across the nation to simply share and pay each other's medical bills. Old problems can be solved when people come together to leverage their sense of community with technology to control the cost of healthcare.
There it is.
What we are simply doing is leveraging your sense of community with technology to control the cost of healthcare. I hope you'll join us.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, that video does such a great job, guys, of giving you the nuts and bolts of what Impact's all about. But in a nutshell, this is a grassroots campaign where we all partake and we all share members' benefits. You saw Phil Chrysler. He talked about, where it started. It started in churches, right? And, the story is that it was, a pastor's wife that got sick and the congregation passed a hat, right? That's where it started. And that's where we need to get back to. We need to get back to grassroots, right? We don't need big government and, to control our life. So we share into this community, and you saw that there was patented technology. When I first looked at this, I'm like, how can it be patents on this and patent pending? Well, you know what it is? It's exactly what the Doge and what this new administration is all about, which they're very supportive of Impact HealthShare, by the way, but it's called transparency. So you get to they have technology where we get to see every dollar that sits in our account, where it goes, how it's spent. And at the end of the day, it's our money. Then you get to see the entire pool, tens of millions of dollars, how it's shared. You can pray for the community. You can pray for families and communicate. Then you have a back office where you can shop for doctors and wholesale pharmaceuticals, free telehealth, free. There's lots of components to this. But the technology, what I thought was unique about it, if you go to a doctor and you have a medical bill, they'll actually go in and negotiate on our behalf. And you can see that live real time. And what's left down to bare bones is what the insurance companies put in their pocket, right? They show us that, and we get down to the discounted, they call it rebranding, and then it goes into the share. So it's never been done before. Most insurance companies cook the books. Impact HealthShare, they show you the books. Never been done before. So very, very cool there.
Thomas, can I interject something?
Yes, please do.
I had told Stu my story very in a nutshell. My story, single mom. I was paying $2,000 a month, which was really killing me for me and my two daughters. And, this was monthly. That was before the deductible, which was $5,000 per person. I think it was 5,000. Was it 6? Whatever. Doesn't matter. When you get up that high, it doesn't matter per person. And, I was like, something's got to give. And I actually saw Dr. Randy, who's a very big part, naturopathic doctor who's part of Impact. And I saw her on a talk show. I think it was on a podcast. And I said, oh my God. And I know Dr. Randy, we knew each other, associately wise. We weren't like very good friends at the time. And I called her. I was like, what is the deal with this? Like, it's so apropos. I'm literally ready to just get rid of all my insurance and just wing it. And she told me about Impact. And so long story short, I went from $2,000 a month to $697. And the telehealth, I could tell you, has been great because, listen, regardless of what, you don't always want your kids, run into doctors, right? Sometimes it's just not necessary. Sometimes you're better off staying home, resting, and just maybe you just need that little assurance to talk to a professional rather than going out to an office with a whole bunch of other people and whatever. So my kids have used that service and they were like, Ma, this was so nice. The doctor was so nice. They told me this and told me that. Like they just had a sense of calm after it, and the doctors called them back right away. So my experience with Impact has been really great. And I will tell you something else. My deductible went to $2,500 for the entire family. And I'm not gonna be a spoiler here, Thomas, but tell us about the other way that we could bring down our deductible each month.
Yeah, so there's Impact. I'm going to go over all the nuts and bolts and all the components that they just keep adding. Let's just start here. It starts off of your age, not your income. That got me one, right? And I was similar to you. I had I was with the other one that has a shield. And I had a deductible that was per family member, right? And so if you have a $5,000 deductible and a family of 4, you're talking $20K you got to pay up front before your coverage kicks in. Well, with Impact, they have one deductible for the entire family. And just like you, Elisa, I picked a $2,500 deductible, right, for the whole family, right? And if you have more than 3 people, they're free. So you only pay for 3 family members, right? Everything else is free. But here's one component that they launched they didn't have this when I first joined. And by the way, since Impact has been around, they have never, ever, not once had a price increase, right? Not once. In fact, we're so healthy, we have lots of money in our account that as a nonprofit, they keep giving back, keep adding more. So they do what they call a health and wellness reward, right? Which I thought was awesome because just as mentioned before, I'm sitting in an office with a sickly person, and I know daggone well that I'm paying for this, right? That you saw Phil Chrysler, the 5%, we're paying for it, the healthy. And so they reward us for healthy living, healthy lifestyles, healthy habits. So, if you go to the gym or a yoga class or take a vitamin or a supplement or an IV drip, acupuncture, stem cells, it doesn't matter. I've heard of them even utilizing the mother's, formula, milk, baby food. They want to reward us. So that deductible, let's say it's $2,500 for the year for the whole family. You can literally upload your receipts on your back office, which will blow your mind. The transparency will blow your mind. You can upload the receipts on there. They'll deduct up to $150 a month, $1,800 a year off your family deductible. So if you're smart about it and you have some procedures done, you schedule it towards the end of the year when your deductible could be as low as $700. Like that's crazy for the entire family. So that is huge. So they're rewarding us for healthy living, healthy lifestyle, healthy habits. And, I love it because they know that healthy members, everything comes down, right? We can keep no price increases and they keep giving us more. Now, let me tell you what else they kept giving us. This goes hand in glove. So first of all, with Impact, what I love most about it, it's coded just like commercial insurance, right? What does that mean? We're paying our doctors 30 to 40% more on average 8 to 12 business days, right? They're paying these our doctors and hospitals more, and they're paying them quick. Never been done before. In fact, that's one of the reasons why doctors form groups to begin with, because they're pulling their money while they're waiting on these insurance companies to pay them, sometimes years down the road. In fact, a lot of insurance companies aren't even paying their bills. That's why a lot of these doctors aren't even accepting insurance, cash payment only. So guys, this is huge. The other thing is we have medical freedom. Check this out. We're about freedom. You guys are about freedom. You know, Patriots across the pond. You talk about freedom. Shouldn't we have the freedom to choose the best doctor, clinic, facility that's best for our family? Right? Well, we don't have that here in the States. They stick you in what they call a network or a group of doctors you might not understand, doctors you might not even like, doctors that might not even be as qualified as you want. You should have the choice to go to the best doctor, clinic, facility in the country. And that's what we have. We have medical freedom to choose any doctor, any clinic, any facility, including if I go visit my old buddy Stu over in the UK and I have an accident, Impact will cover it out of country. No insurance company that I know of does that. So this thing is huge. Now, yes, we do have the health and wellness rewards. Absolutely love that, right? That's huge. But they just keep giving us more and more and more. What do I mean? Free telehealth. What you were talking about your kids love. Yeah. I love it too. You know, the last thing we want to do if we're feeling crummy is get out of bed, get dressed, drive across town, go into another room filled with sick people, pay a deductible, and basically all they do is send you home with a prescription of medication anyhow, right? That's what they do. They're not really into. In fact, the insurance companies actually dictate how they doctor, right?
Absolutely.
They dictate. Impact, they don't. They don't tell doctors. They let them doctor the way that they wanted to when they were dreaming of being doctor, right? Not controlled by big pharma. We all know about that. The lobbyists and the politicians are all in cahoots. We don't need to get into that. But my point is, free telehealth is cool because A, you don't have to drive across town and sit in a room with sick people. B, you don't have to pay a $50 or $100 office visit, right, just to see that doctor. And then C, you get in touch. When I did my telehealth, I was in touch with a live doctor within 5 minutes. The second that I pushed enter, I got a text and an email, said I'd be with a doctor within 5 minutes. I'm like, there's no way they're going to call me within 5. Guess what? It was about 3 minutes. Boom, I got on with a live doctor, told them what was going on, and you know, they gave me the recommendations, and in this case it was it was pharmaceutical, which I don't take. Very rarely do I take, but I did take this one. It was a Z-Pack for because I want to tell this story. It was a Z-Pack. I went to the pharmacy, right, and I didn't realize I could have had them deliver it, but I went to the pharmacy, and when I went in, you know, they came back and told me that it was $36, I think it was. And I said, here's my card. We get a discount. They came back and there was people in line, and she came back and she's like, well, I never heard of this. It's $3. And I'm like, what is it? I said, it's Impact Healthcare. Well, guess what? Today, they just launched another enhancement. Anything under $10 would have been free. So that would have been free a year ago. So it is now free. Anything under 10. By the way, we have wholesale pharmaceuticals. This thing works great for seniors. Medicare Part A and B starts them off at $96 a month, $1,000 deductible. So there were so many components of this. With the Doctegrity, anybody ever hear of that? We just added this platform where they are now doing not only AI stuff, right? They can look at some different marks on your face and whatnot. It's getting a little wild, but they're also doing 3 free psychological calls per family member a month. So if your kids are having a bad day, or maybe something's going on at school or whatever, they're just you got something you want to talk to a licensed professional, 3 free per month per family member. That is huge because there's a lot of craziness going on. That just came out.
So that is now currently something that
day one.
Tell you, when these kids, and all these kids have anxiety issues because of the food, because of what they've been sprayed with, because of the in the arms. Yeah. So they're all suffering from some form of anxiety and depression and whatever. But they go to this, let's say, for example, they're on campus. They go to the campus at wellness center, and all they want to do is prescribe them an antidepressant.
Yep.
That's what they want to do.
Because they get kickbacks from the big pharma. That's how it works.
Of course they do. So this is huge. This is so huge. You know what I wanted to also ask you, when you said about medical freedom, that also includes not only choosing the doctor you want, but it also includes what we would consider alternative, meaning naturopaths, chiropractors, whatever the acupuncturist. It's not just the typical MD, correct?
Yes, I mean, so the coverage is for licensed doctors. The
Okay,
naturopaths and all the other things goes along with the health and wellness rewards because
got it.
acupuncture, Reiki, massage therapists, yes, they'll reward you for that, right? Because it's so broad of a spectrum. They don't, there's no way that they could include it. So that's why they did the health and wellness rewards. Like they're still rewarding you for what you're paying for. And
With that 150, you can, let's say, go to the chiropractor, because it's going to go against your deductible and bring that all down to the point where you're not going to have to, you're going to talk about after your deductible is met.
Yeah, good point. I was going to bring that up. So once your deductible's met, actually, here's something cool. If let's say you bend over, tweak your back, and your deductible's met, you get on Doctegrity, you get a live doctor. Hey, doc, I tweaked my back. Okay, great. Here's a prescription for chiropractor. If that happens, they'll actually give you up to 50 chiropractor visits free of charge per family member for the entire year. That's like almost one a week. So huge. We're actually partnered up with the entire Texas chiropractic, the Pennsylvania, the Virginia, lots of them. So doctors are enrolling, chiropractors, you name it. People from all walks of life are joining this. Let's go back to the kids real quick, because I want to touch on what you talked about. So we all know kids are out there and, they just, they're getting hosed too. And, especially with healthcare, I had a rep in our group when she first started. She was all bummed out. I'm like, what's the matter? She goes, man, I just had to fork out $1,900 this semester for my kid. I was like, well, that's not too bad. She goes, no, for their health insurance. I'm like, what? So I don't know if you realize this. Most states, most universities, it's mandated that their kids have to have health care, right? Well, again, in that case, this actually was through I'm not going to say the university. So the university's got his clause in. It was actually through the university, which I'm sure they're getting it. And what's unique about Impact is it starts these kids out at $73 a month. Can you imagine that? So now it's affordable not only for the kids, but for the families, right? Look, this platform is putting money right back into our pockets where it needs to be, right? And this is the first time in my life that I've ever seen, you pay less and get more. Usually you pay less and you get less, not with Impact. And we're on a straight up crusade to disrupt this healthcare. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a household name. So you definitely want to make sure you share this platform with everybody you can. I mean, so it's one deductible for the entire family, right? That was huge. Yeah. Any doctor, any clinic, any facility you want, medical freedom to choose. They reward us for all the things that we love to do, foods that we love to eat, seeds for your garden, they'll deduct. I mean, you basically, anything that promotes health and wellness, you plug it in, they'll deduct you. And then on top of it, they're doing stuff for our family. They're, three family members. After that, it's free. Kids, seniors. I mean, this thing just touches everyone, and they're not done. I almost can't keep up with Impact. Every time I turn around, they're giving us more, enhancing more. Because why? Because our community is growing. We got tons of money in there, and we got to share it. We got to share it. We got to give back. And so this is the ultimate freedom fighter, grassroots, disrupting that big broken healthcare industry. And I think everybody should be a part of this. Now, there's a pre-existing clause. Let me share with you on that. You might say, where's the catch? There is no catch. It's for everyone, right? But if you are chronic or have a major pre-existing conditions up to 3 years, it might not be a great fit for you. Because remember, healthy members, don't basically suck the well dry, if you would, right? However, I have a lot of people with pre-existing conditions up to 3 years. If it's 3 years in a day, you're fine. Up to 3 years, it's the pre-existing clause. What does that mean? That means if, let's say you have I don't know, a broken leg, and this happened to me at one point, and I had steel in my ankle, right? And I wanted to get my steel plate out, and I joined, and I had the steel plate in. I got the steel plate taken out. That would be a pre-existing condition. So they're not going to pay for that, but here's what they do. We have a platform called rebranding. We actually utilize a third-party neutral negotiator, the same one that the insurance companies use. The only difference is they go in and negotiate those overinflated medical bills down to fair market value and stick the profit in their pocket. We don't. So as mentioned before, that bill up here might be $40,000. They might knock off of there $38,000. I've seen these overinflated bills. Everybody ever see $1,000 for an aspirin, $1,200 for a piece of gauze, right? This is the pork, the fat that's on the bone, right? So they'll negotiate that down to fair market value, and that $2,000 that would have probably bankrupt somebody at 40 grand or 60 grand, whatever that is, that would be the difference. Now, if you had Impact, you were a member, and it wasn't a pre-existing, that 2,000 or that balance would go into the share, and then it's shared with the community. So doesn't mean that you can't join Impact, because you can. You still get the wholesale, everything else, all the other programs, just on that 3-year pre-existing condition. If it falls within that window, pre-existing will not be shared in the community. Still get the rebranding, discounted, fair market pricing. But I just wanted to bring that out there because everybody says, what's the catch? There is no catch. It's for everyone. But if you're chronic or something, it might not be a great fit, but pretty much everybody else it is for.
Yeah.
It does sound amazing. I mean, Elisa was telling me what she was paying a month before this, and I couldn't believe it, because I know what I said at the start, we get free healthcare here, and you said, no, you don't. Well, I totally agree, because we pay for it out of our tax dollars or something. Even though everything should be free, nothing is free, is it? And I mean, over here as well, if you get through to the doctors, the last time I needed an appointment with someone, and I'm trying not to go at all, was about 4 weeks, right? You cannot phone the doctors and speak to them and ask for an appointment. You have to phone on the day. So that means everyone and their auntie and mother is all phoning at 8 o'clock in the morning at the same time. And, we do get prescriptions here, but we have to pay for those. But drug prices are overinflated, aren't they? And the dentist, we've got 3 charges there. It's about £20 for a checkup, £60 if you want an extraction or something, and then up to £300. That's the top tier, and you get anything sort of free over the top of that. But if we were sort of having to pay the money Elisa was paying, what you're doing over there sounds amazing, especially with the 50 chiropractic visits, because for these people that have their backs go out and stuff, and I know I've had a lot of problems with that in the past, that is a lot of money, and you don't necessarily get a good one all the time, do you?
No, that's for sure. And you brought something up. You said something that I actually forgot to mention.
I was just going to tell you.
I know you were coming. I could read your brain.
What's that number for?
Oh, yes. So let me just say this, Thomas, and I'll let you talk about another wonderful thing about Impact. So if anybody that's watching is interested, you can actually call the toll-free number and get some information. Use the code Patriots, and we will know that you came from this show. We'll take good care of you, and that's the number you can call if you'd like to get more information. So anyway, Thomas, tell us what you left out, which I think is really important.
Yes, but I want to give them the number 844-663-1776. Right? We want to make sure.
Ended on that.
Yes. No, you know what? Stu actually triggered something. Another component that I forgot to mention that they gave us free of charge, by the way, right? Not only do we have an AI platform that's free of charge that it will blow your mind, but the one that I really like is the dental and vision component, right? So we get free of charge a very deep discounted dental and vision platform. It's not insurance. It's not covered. Everything's not covered 100%. But the discounts are so great that anybody can afford it, and it's black and white, the transparency. So if you want a root canal, it'll show you. And again, you can get into your back office, and let's say I want to come to New York and visit you, and I come to New York and I bite into a walnut and chip my tooth or whatever. Oh, now I got to see a doctor. I literally put in the zip code on that. It'll pull up whatever doctors are in there, and it'll tell me exactly what I'm going to pay for it. So I know going in very deep discounted. And by the way, they do the same thing for the pharmaceuticals. Let's say while I'm there, I chipped my tooth, busted. I got to see he puts me on a pain pill, which I don't take them either, but let's just say I do. Then I can do the exact same thing. Put your zip code in, boom, it'll pull up the pharmacies. And here's the other thing. They actually negotiate fair market value. When you see the prices of pharmaceutical, we're 99% of the time less than Good Gold RX, which is the lowest pharmaceutical pricing, in the country. And so they'll actually pull that up. And 9 times out of 10, if it's under, the medication are discounted below $10, now it's free of charge. So just all this, and they keep it hand. I'm probably forgetting other things that they're you see I'm passionate about it, but everybody needs to get on this. So 844-663-1776.
I want to tell you, when we did have a prescription for one of us in the family, and I was able to go on and look at all the local pharmacies in the area, and they listed exactly what the price that would be paid. So, there's the big box guys, and then there's all the independents, right? You're going to probably do much better if you go to an independent, quite honestly, at least on impact. And so there's, like you said about before, there's so much transparencies, and I love how I can go on there and see who my monthly premium was shared with. You can actually see where your money's going and who it's being shared with. And it's just really, really cool in a sense of community. So I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with one of the major medical companies. I decide I'm going to go with Impact. And I have to go to my doctor that has an office that has a staff. They have a billing department, right, which is separate from the person who's going to say hi to me when I walk in, and certainly several steps removed from the doctor himself or herself. And I call up, and the first question they ask you is, your name and what insurance you have, right over the phone when you're making your appointment. And then you say, well, I have Impact Health Sharing. And then they say, because they're trained robotically to look at a list, oh, we don't take that.
Yep.
What's the answer?
Well, first of all, that's 100% normal because, again, you just said it. They have a list, and that list, generally, they're all in with the pharmaceuticals and all that. So I'm not even go there. But we call that provider pushback. So all you simply do, there's a couple things you could do it. On the back of your medical card, so we get a card, just, insurance card. On the back of it, it'll say no network restrictions, call this number. So they'll actually have a number that they call into Impact, and Impact will get them signed up as a provider. Now, why would they want to sign up as a provider? Impact will pay them more, and they pay them quicker, right? They'll pay them quicker, right? Who's not going to want that if they pay them more? Here's another thing I forgot to tell you they do. Let's say you do sign up for Impact, you and your daughters, right? Your kids. Let's say, I'm just making this up. I know how many kids you have, but let's just say you have 3 kids, you and 3 kids. And you sign up for Impact. Guess what Impact does? They're gonna, when you sign up, they have a concierge service. So they're gonna, because you tell them who your PCP is, who your doctor is. They're gonna call your doctor, sign them up as a provider, right? And with Impact, we get a free physical and blood work per family member every year, free of charge. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna call your doctor, sign them up as a provider, so you won't have to deal with that. Number 2, they're going to literally pay that doctor for your physical and blood work more. And check this out. They're going to pay them before you even walk in the door. So the doctor's going to get prepaid. Never been done before. No other insurance company has ever paid before anybody walks through that door. It usually takes them a year or 2 to get paid. And they fight the whole way to the top.
I had an instance where a girlfriend of mine had a surgery. After the fact, a year later, the insurance company calls her and says, I'm sorry, we're not covering that.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean we're not covering that? I had it done. All the paperwork was in. My doctor, why do we need to be treated? Well, we know why, but we're being treated like worse than animals in the street for just getting basic care that we're entitled to. And we're paying top dollar for with these companies.
We don't have to anymore. You can make the choice. You can either pay into a system that the Bud Light moment, if you guys know what I'm talking about there, or you can come over and join a grassroots movement like this and take the power away from them. We, the people, have the power. And if we do it in numbers, right, that's the thing. And so, there's Stu over in the UK. You know what? I take my hat off to him because I know what's going on over there. They're locking people up for posts on social media and for going against the grain. So guess what we're doing here? We're going against the grain. We're a grassroots. That's the answer to everything. We don't need big government for anything, right? We don't need them. And if we take the power away from these companies that are in cahoots with these politicians and lobbyists, and we can take it back one person at a time, we can bring back the healthcare that we all deserve, right? Medical freedom of choice. Let's start there.
So let's talk about hospitalization, right? Because that's a big concern, because I know today a lot of people are less worried about the occasional trip to the doctor. They carry insurance for catastrophic reasons, right? God forbid there's a car accident. God forbid somebody gets a diagnosis that requires some kind of hospitalization. How does hospitalization work with Impact?
Again, we pay our bills up front sometimes for physicals and whatnot. And then, for hospitalization, I'm assuming you're talking about an emergency. So emergencies are taken care of. They're going to take care of it. Again, they're not going to dictate to the doctors and the facilities on, it's not covered. So, this isn't coded right, so we're not going to cover it. No, if you need to be covered, they're going to cover it. That's what I absolutely love about Impact is they're not telling these doctors if you need to stay in the hospital, for whatever an extended period of time, they'll take care of it. If it's covered and it's included into the share, and if it falls within the guidelines, right? Which the other thing is the website is crystal clear. That's what I love about Impact is there's no gray area. The guidelines are crystal clear. And by the way, we do have a bot that actually, if you have any questions, will answer that too. And you can get that, all from your site. But that extended period of time, as long as it falls within the guidelines, it's going to be taken care of. I mean, that includes life flights and all the other stuff. And let's talk about women real quick, because I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's going on right now, but a lot of these insurance companies aren't paying for maternity, pregnancy, a lot of this stuff. And if they are, it's beans. They're paying beans. They've really cut that down. Well, guess what impacts the opposite? Home birth, water birth, midwife. We're doing things outside of the box, right? So this is true medical freedom for sure, 100%.
And I was just watching, Stu, I don't know if you saw, I was just watching a video about how detrimental the whole hospital birth is anyway. Just that all this is coming out on how awful, and all through the years, the drugs that they've given women to induce, and then the awful side effects that it's had, and damaging the baby, not to mention illnesses that came afterwards, because it's all so awful, and now today, anybody who knows, they obviously are getting paid more. The doctor gets paid more for, let's say, a C-section versus a natural birth, right? Because now it's surgery. And so how many of those are unnecessary? And we know that during birth, the baby gets most of its immunity and a lot of the important things it needs when it comes through the birth canal, through the mom naturally, as opposed to the C. So all these things that people don't realize with the system, and when you're in the system, and how you get hoodwinked in the system. And so company like Impact and believe me, I know people in my own, and I don't have a big network of naturopathic people, but I know so many who are opting for home births for a whole variety of reasons.
Most people homes are cleaner than the hospitals. You're talking staph infections and all kinds of, and then not to mention again what they want to, the more that they can inject you and your child with, the more right in their back pocket. So again, this is medical freedom. We have choice. It's what we all should have.
Yeah. No, 100%. Just trying to think of some other. So your best bet if the doctor says to you, the billing person or the front desk, whatever, they give you a problem or pushback, like you said, on Impact because they've never heard of it. That's really what it comes down to, and it's not on their list. And God bless these people that work really hard, but they've become robotic. They just look at a list and they don't use their common sense or listen to what you're trying to tell them. Is basically to say there's a number, you need to call it. You need to, you need to verify for yourself with this company that I'm covered and that they're covering what I'm about to have done at your office. And that's where you partner with Impact to help you get past that resistance, right?
Yeah, that's one way you can do it. There's also, if you become an Impact member, right? What I recommend doing is all your doctors, there's provider forms that are actually on our very accessible. Like, we can give you one. You literally, you can email them the provider form. You can print one off, take it in, and remember, these doctors, just because, they're ignorant to Impact doesn't mean that they're not open to it. You just have to have the conversation with them because, again, they want to get paid up front and they want to get paid quicker, right?
Yes.
And so we have to explain that Impact has a phenomenal track record with some of the facilities across the country that predominantly, they're even saying no to a lot of insurance companies. A lot of doctors' offices, they're not even taking insurance.
Oh,
right?
Believe me, I see it every day. And I want to say something else to people that are worried about, because like anything else, you get used to a system, right? You just get used to it. There's also
Program.
a little bit of the programming, right, that makes you think that's the way you have to go, and that's part of the problem. But here's the thing: when I did the math, I looked at this and I did it very mathematically, and I said, if I'm paying $2,000 a month, and my even forget about the deductible, just the outlay that I had, right? If I'm paying $2,000 a month every month out of my pocket, and for the most part, we're a healthy family. Let's say for some reason, some of this stuff didn't get covered with what I'm paying. And I had an occasional doctor, a situation that it's still going to be cheaper, because even if I have to lay out 200 here or 300 there, it's still less than paying 2,000. So to me, it was like, it's just a no-brainer. And then once I hit that deductible of 2,500, which includes every single member in the family's bills and visits that they've had, then what is Impact going to pay then? Then what is the co-share go to?
Well, it's 90-10, right? When, if you know anything about insurance companies, it's either 70-30 or 80-20, right? So Impact right off the bat, it's 90-10. Here's the cool part. Let's say, and in your family, we'll use you as an example. Let's just say, God forbid, you guys, something happens, you get in a car accident,
Yes.
and nobody's, hurt.
Catastrophic. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying, off work for a while, you got to go to the hospital, and you maybe one broken leg, they're staying in there 30 days, like you talked about, or whatever. Let's just say that it's catastrophic. So that co-share, here's the coolest part about this. They have a co-share of $5,000. That means if you have a $2,500 deductible, the most your family will pay out of pocket for everything is $7,500. Once that is met, it's no longer 90-10, it's 100% goes into the share. So, I mean, when, again, Impact is there in people's moment of need, right?
Yeah.
When they need it the most. And it's the community that shares into it. And so just know that this thing is something special, and it's only going to continue to grow, because anybody out there can go get a quote with your insurance company. I challenge you, get a quote, and you're going to get sticker shock on what's going on. In fact, Stu could pull up a page right now on, let's get a quote. Let's do a live quote and show you guys the difference between, first of all, your insurance companies are going to ask you a ton of questions. You go to this landing page, there's 3 options. You can get a quote, get info, and you can actually enroll today. Now, Elisa talked about open enrollment, right? That's another little, in my opinion, gimmick that these insurance companies have. They give you a window of time, stress everybody out. You got to pick something, right? The less of evils. And with Impact, there's no open enrollment. The only clause we have is you got to sign up by the end of the month to have coverage the next day. So if you signed up with Impact, enrolled right now, right, there is a $79 application fee, by the way. I like transparency. $79 application fee. Boom, you enroll right now, you would be covered December 1. So everybody knows that. Now, let's get a quote. So Stu, click on get a quote, okay? Now, you get down the age of the oldest household member. So let's just say we'll do mine, for example. Let's say 4/25/1972. Right? Let's click on that. Now, let's go to 3+, Stu, and then we're gonna do 2, and then we'll do 1. So 3+. So this is if I have a whole bunch of kids. I could be Amish, which I have Amish with 10 kids. They love this, right, for many reasons. But can you read that off? So let's take a look at I got to put my glasses on. Here we go. So if I chose the $2,500 deductible, one deductible for the whole family, that is what? $628, right? For the entire family. Major medical, the dental and vision, the health and wellness, all the goodies I talked about. Now, if I chose a $5,000 deductible, $571, $7,500, $513, $10,000 deductible, $456. So I have the choice to do so, right? Now, Stu, if you don't mind, go back and let's just say if it's just me and my beautiful, yeah, there you go. Let's do 2 people. So recalibrate that. There it is. $2,500, $513, $5,000, $456, $398, $341. So you get it. Now let's go back and do just a single person. Now watch this. Watch this. Watch the difference there.
Wow, look at that.
Look at that. You could get it as inexpensive as $150 a month, up to $196, $242, $288. By the way, when I first joined Impact, that's what I've been paying since day one, $288. Hasn't went up a dime. Can you say that about your insurance company? Have they taken away things? Have they added more? Right? So just know that we're not insurance and we're proud of it. We're different. We do things different over here. So listen, shares have been around for 40 plus years, right? But Impact does things different than any other share that's out there. And we just keep getting bigger and better. And why? Because it's members like you, members like us that are sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? We share into the platform. We have a community, very healthy community, and we help our fellow members in need.
Yeah. Elisa, you muted. Scramble.
I had a barking dog. So when I signed up over a year ago, I think the health and wellness was $100 a month. And we didn't have the dental and eye care. Like that came on very quickly, like right after that.
And the Doctegrity and the health and
yeah, I'm saying, so that's just what, like maybe almost a little more than that, but less than 2 years. I'm just saying the enormity of the changes and how they just keep adding is what I'm trying to say in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I first started, I've been in it a couple of years longer than you. They didn't have any health and wellness, went 50 to 100. Then now it's at 150. And I wouldn't be surprised if they keep upping that and keep giving us more. There's been rumors about pet coverage and whatnot. I don't know what's coming down the pipe, but all I know is this company keeps, we ask, they give. Yeah. They keep giving. I've had the opportunity of not only meeting and rubbing elbows with the CEO, Phil Chrysler, and the VP, Eileen, and the rest of the Impact crew. Like, I've never met any CEO or anyone else for that matter of an insurance company. Never.
Without a doubt.
I can pick up the phone right now and call them and they'll answer it.
100%. I have a personal story about the senior vice president. I had a situation with, full transparency. My daughter had to go to a dermatologist, and what a hard time they were giving me. And I sent an email to her. And after we spoke about this, I spoke with, what she told me? She's like, Elisa, pick a different dermatologist. Like, don't even fight. Like, you've given them everything. You just sometimes have difficult people. And this was the people in the office. It wasn't like you were getting to the doctor, because the doctor would have understood what we were saying. These people just had blinders on. So I guess the reason I'm saying is that because I've had these different things that I've dealt with, and it didn't dissuade me from working with Impact. It just made me figure out a more creative way, or to go, why do you want to go to a doctor who it's taking, so long for them to get what's working for you? You want to be with someone who's of like mind anyway, and a doctor who's really happy that you are doing something for your health, and that they're going to ultimately get the business, not that they're doing you a favor, quite frankly. So, so we kind of hit a lot of the hitches and just moved through. And like I said, I would never, ever go back to the old way.
Me neither. So when you have that pushback from the doctor, provider, or the lazy girl
it's usually that's
what it is. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's usually someone that's lazy, that sits there. They don't want to pick up the phone or do any extra work. They want to just, cruise by.
100%.
So you can have pushback on the pushback.
Or Tom, let's be real. They just want to charge you the out-of-pocket price. They just want to say, you know what? We don't take this. You compare out-of-pocket. Oh, what's your out-of-pocket? It's 150 or it's 200. Some of them are just looking to make money, and that's the what they're aiming to do by saying we don't take it. But you could still come to us, but now you could pay the out-of-pocket price.
Well, we got to push back on the pushback, and that's part of having the medical freedom and having choices. Like, I never knew there was, anything out there other than pay. I was paying $1,100 a month and some change for myself,
just for you,
just for me. Yeah, again, because it's Affordable Care Act. The more money you make, the more they take, right? They put you in a different tax bracket. They don't get me started on all that. So my point is, when I saw that and Impact came around, I'm like, you're trying to tell me I can go from, I could literally pay $150 a month, right? But I'm getting up there I'm getting some miles under my belt. I'm very healthy, but what if something happens? So I chose. See, there it is. I had the choice to choose my deductible. And by the way, if I want to change my deductible, which we don't use the word deductible, we use PRA, primary responsibility amount. We have some different terminology with this. We're not insurance, we're share. But my PRA, which is AKA deductible, if I want to change that, I can change it on my anniversary date. So let's say you do you enroll, you and your family up December 1. You enroll right now today on the 844-663-1776 Key Road Patriot, right? That's your code. Call in and we'll take care of you. But if you enroll today, you'll have coverage December 1. And if you want to change your PRA deductible next year, December 1, you can go ahead and change that. I did that. I actually did just that. I changed my PRA deductible. And so right there is the referral code. We got phone number up. Make sure, and I know I saw somebody on the chat say their family's in the States. Well, great. That is
just going to ask you about that just quickly. I'm a Reiki healer as well. I haven't done one for a long time, since quite a bit before COVID. But obviously, when COVID, when that came in, it's so many people are so dependent on the medical industry, and because obviously we have free healthcare here, I would love to be able just to podcast and Reiki and make money off that. But when the people find out about the medical industry and a lot of this stuff, they're going to be looking for alternatives like yourself, and especially you mentioned Reiki could be included in part of what you do. But yeah, Peter's friend made a comment just now. You can just have a quick chat about that if you like.
Yeah,
I'm in England. This sounds great for you. Say my daughter and family are in the USA. I know how expensive medical care is out there. Yeah, and it's epidemic, Peter. So it's not just you, it's everyone. And absolutely, we can plug them in. We can help them share with this, share in the savings, share in the medical freedom. We'll be glad to help you. And oh, by the way, me, I don't work for Impact. I'm an independent rep. And so if you're as passionate about helping people as me and giving them medical freedom and Elisa, we can there's a referral platform as well that we can give you information about. I'm not even going to get into that today, but we do have something where if you want to be on a crusade with us and really help out, a lot of people, including, put a few bucks back in your pocket as well, you can definitely be a part of our crusade and help doing just that with this medical freedom with Impact Health Share.
Yeah. So I want to just say, because I could just go on forever with this whole insurance thing. I've had private insurance with, the names we've talked about, and there's a whole bunch of them, right? And then, of course, they have the bronze package and the silver package and the gold package and the platinum package and all this nonsense, right? And you're paying, when I did a quote just for me, it was like you. It was like 1,100 or so. I also was on the exchange, which is Obamacare, right? Now, I paid at the time I was on that. See, what they do is, what they don't tell you with the exchange is that you're not just on this exchange. They have contracted with these big insurance companies, so they offer a different plan through the exchange. So it's usually a lesser amount that you're getting. You think that you're getting like a silver plan or a gold plan, but then when you go to the doctor, they're like, oh no, we don't take that one. We take this one. And
Bait and
this one
switch.
is like the 2,300 a month one.
Oh, yeah.
And the one you have might be 1,100 or whatever. And you think, great, I'm getting like a silver plan. No, nobody's going to take it. But here's the other thing. And God forgive me for saying this. When you, God forbid, have to call up the exchange, I challenge you not to want to commit a homicide, because you can't get anybody who understands what you're talking about. These people have no interest in helping you. The whole office has absolutely no training to understand what they're doing. So you could have like 5 people and maybe you're still not getting like the half a brain that you would get, which I'm going to compliment, a regular private insurance company, but of course you're paying. So either way you do it, you're getting screwed. Maybe saving money, but you're not going to get anyone who understands, and you're going to get a lesser plan that the doctors are going to say, oh, we don't take that one. Or you're going to pay God knows how much. And, if you're a relatively healthy person, you're throwing money away.
What I love about Impact is they're based out of Florida, right? And when you call in to Impact, you have just the sweetest people that are, speak very good English, right? From English. And you don't have to strain to understand them. And they're very supportive, right? And again, the site itself is so transparent, so vast. There's no gray area. And then on top of that, they just launched, again, another component. Ellie, her name's Ellie. She is our bot. And I've tried to stump Ellie. I've asked her every weird question you could ask her, and she always spits out exactly what I've been taught. So, the tools are there, guys. The platform is here. Why not just get a free quote? It takes you 30 seconds to do a quote. And they'll even, at the bottom of that, Stu showed you, they'll even pull up down at the bottom where you click your information in, and someone from Impact will they'll schedule you your appointment, and they'll actually call you. You'll get a text and an email in English. And if you are Espanol, we have Espanol speaking as well too. So we can take care of you that. Mi Espanol's no bueno, but I do know Impact Health Share saved myself mucho dinero, and will save you a lot of mucho dinero for you, your family, and friends. So my advice to everyone on here, while we're into the open enrollment season, just take a look at what we have going on. And I think you'll be floored like I was, like Elisa would be doing. And at the same time, your family deserves better. We do. We deserve the freedom of choice, medical freedom, to choose the best doctors and the facilities that's best for our family. So, and at the same time, you're going to be supporting, the Patriots across the pond platform, right? That's the most important part. So again, you talk about putting your money where your mouth is. Let's go. Let's do it.
So if you phone that number then for a quote, what did you say the code was? Was it Patriots or Patriots? With an S on the end?
Yeah.
Patriots. Brilliant.
So they know that, they came from our show and they're our followers.
If you go on this link, that's your ID there, Elisa, yeah?
Yeah, and we could just put that. We could also put that for now, right? We could put that in the chat, and we'll load it up. I'll load it up on my Rumble too in the chat box. But here's the thing. I think what we're all trying to do is we're trying to show people that they don't have to be compliant to the systems that they have been told are the only systems out there, right? Insurance is one aspect of that. There's so many others that Stu and I talk about all the time. And at this point, until and when things change, and we talk about this all the time with Nasara and Jasara and all these great things are going to happen, right? We're still in this matrix system. So why not be in it the best way you can to get the best care that you can, and at the pricing that you need to. And like, I'm sure this is just such an irksome thing. I also, because I do coach as well, and I've had a few instances, this is just another little thing, where people are working for companies where they get their insurance paid for. But some of the people that I know have been really creative because they've gone back to their employer and said, well, how much is actually going into this insurance and what is it costing? This might be less. Like, there's ways to go back and see.
You have the opt, what's they call an option.
You can opt out and you still get paid from them, but you're having the one you want. You don't have to be part of this network. So, sometimes that's a little more work. I know we're all working hard and we're just tired of like having to like do and redo, but at the end of the day, if it gives you that freedom, and maybe it's even saving you money, because at the end of the day, even though your employer's paying for this, if you can opt out and they're going to still throw some money towards it.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
Yeah, it becomes a win-win for everybody. Yeah,
that's such a good point you brought up. And think of it like this: how many people in your life do you know that will either stay at a job, don't get me started on a job, just over broke. People will stay at a job that they do not like, or leave something that they love for either for benefits or lack of. A lot of people. So if you can have affordable health care, or my friends call them bennies, right? Bennies, benefits. If you can have affordable health care, now maybe you can have the courage to go out and start your own business, to actually, live the American dream. Like, I don't know about you guys, but the American dream that I know of is not one that goes and works for somebody else while they get rich. No. My American dream is to build something real myself, to live on my terms, right? And pass something down to my kids, grandkids, and that's what Impact can help you do that, right? I mean, if you can afford having affordable health care that's not crushing you and your family every month financially, you may have the courage to step out and say, I'm going to go start that business now, right? So just keep that in mind as well. This thing can play so many different ways. Good point, though, Elisa.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, we're watching a lot of things unfold with Trump and RFK Jr. and Patriots coming in the HHS and all these sorts of things. But things may be changing, but we are still living in their system at present. So anything we can do to look after our own health, take the bills down on our own health and all these sorts of things is, far beneficial to get it done now while we're watching this all, unfold.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love it. Live outside of that matrix and take control of our life. And Stu, I want to get you over here to Pennsylvania, where I want to take you hunting, my friend.
I'm going to talk to you about that.
Camouflage you got on, brother.
Because
let's do it. Let's do it. That's my passion.
I was going to say this off air, but I'm not now. Maybe we can do. I know you're vegetarian, Elisa, but maybe we can do.
I'll eat the veggies. I'll make the salad.
That's all right. Maybe we can do another hour, and you can talk about that. Talk about hunting and fishing, and
I'd love to.
But self-sustainment.
We all have to dress up in camo for that one. Okay?
Yes, definitely. I think that's a really important topic, because we've been so brainwashed that you have to go to the supermarket. You have to, everybody, my grandparents had gardens like I would kill for today.
Yes.
And they had, my dad grew up in East Harlem, New York. I know I told you this, Tom, and his father was an immigrant, and he had chickens in the yard, and, and my father made fun of himself, like looking back, like, oh, we were in the middle of East Harlem and he had a farm, but something, nobody has those skills anymore. And
nobody's got the land either. That's the problem. We've been so compressed that I live in a flat. I haven't got a garden. I can't grow things.
Right. But you can at a Potts, and to an extent you can do that. That's the point I'm talking about. Like, people even in apartments can have certain things that they can grow. You can grow spices, you can grow things that are health, right? And it's just giving people that sense of empowerment to go back to that way of thinking. So we have to do another show on that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mother Nature's grocery store. All right, let's call it that.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to write that down. All
Brilliant.
right.
By the way, Elisa, we're, when we take an animal like that, we harvest it, we utilize everything, we feed a lot of people, we help a lot of people. There was just a study done, like venison's America's most game animal, right? There was just a study done, and they said that it's the healthiest meat we can possibly eat. So just know, even though vegetarians, we're actually protecting your vegetables. So, right?
No, it's all part of the same. It's all part of the same system.
It is.
And like I said, everybody makes their choice for what their body requires
100%.
and what what they feel is right. But that your needs are different, and it's all about, as long as things are done in a way of integrity and respect for the land and the other creatures that we share this earth with. That's the key, and we have to support one another, because they've taken too much of our sovereignty away to be so self-sufficient, know how to do these things. And maybe people would want to wouldn't you rather learn maybe how to get your own food than to go to these supermarkets that God only knows what we're really getting across the board? I'm talking vegetables too. I'm not just talking
100%.
Yeah.
People do need to try and use, I mean, I was vegetarian for 2 years, tried it out and all that sort of stuff. We can talk about that on the next one.
Yeah.
But I use my local butcher. I've got a good relationship with him. The meat is, so much better. I don't trust all the stuff in the supermarket. And, what they tried to do in COVID was to shut out all these small businesses, so that people would, just the supermarkets and things like that, which they all own anyway.
They were essential.
Destroy
Yeah.
small business, wasn't it? But, Warp Speed and Trump and that. Fortunately,
they did that here in the States with the Amish, by the way, when the last administration. So it's not just over there. It's they want to. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of that, I believe, was done to get people like us to step up, speak up, and get other people to get out of their apathy, because we grew so, we stopped thinking we could take care of ourselves and each other, and we had to rely on what we were told to do. So this was so great. I'm so glad. I want to be respectful because I know you have to jump, but this was so wonderful. We're going to absolutely have you back. There's so much more to talk about, because just a little teaser, the company that Impact is affiliated with, let's put it that way, also has so many other essential products and services that also help to pull people off the grid and to make decisions that are going to save them money and make them feel more empowered. So we have a lot to talk about, Thomas.
We sure do. We sure do. And I look forward to that. So appreciate you and Stu for inviting us over here and allowing me to share. And, for everyone that's out there, listen, Impact Health Share, spread the word, make sure you call the number 844-663-1776 with the discount Patriots, plural, and, get yourself a quote at the very least, and you'll be glad you did. So guys, thank you so much for allowing me to share. Appreciate you. And Stu, can't wait to see you in Pennsylvania, my friend.
Brilliant. I love that, Thomas. I like our little interview shows because even though I do like the sound of my own voice sometimes, not so much online, but I can just sit back and listen and take it all in. And I've learned a bit more today. So wonderful.
All right.
Appreciate you.
God bless.
God bless you all.
Take care, guys. Thanks. And thanks for the comments. See you later. Bye.